For one of our days in North Wales, we went to Newborough Beach and Forest in Anglesey. This is a great spacious location for a century seeker like William, although we did have one particularly salty challenge. Before getting into that though, here's how our day started, with breakfast on a bench. We had a bit of a drive to get to Newborough, and this was the first stop for us to grab some lunch supplies. We then had a little car charge stop at Menai Bridge, where William initially wanted to stay in the car doing some verbal stimming, so I took the chance to have lunch in the sunshine. This was a peaceful break, before a more usual phase of wandering around a nearby park, public toilets and streets for William to explore. Then we arrived at the scenic setting of Newborough Beach car park. William definitely knew which direction he wanted to head in, and as soon as he spotted the water he was off, before we'd even picked the spot or got changed. He started our visit with a fun splash, although this is also where our salty challenge began. One of the sensations William craves is salty tastes, so he was constantly taking little sips and a few bigger gulps of seawater. I gave him his dummy to try and discourage this, but it only partially worked. As a distraction, I took William to the forest beside the beach, which was nice, although he didn't want to walk much. This ended in some of his favoured shoulder time, and then another dash towards the waves. We had the same salt-sipping problem, so returned again to Mummy at our beach spot. I was feeling a bit frustrated as we went back to the forest for another go at something different, but we kept walking, and before long I thought maybe we could do what we do best, have an adventure. There's a tidal island at the far end of the beach called Ynys Llanddwyn, which I thought we could get to via the forest. William was still quite clingy and actually a bit cold, as the wind had picked up. However, as our adventure progressed, he became more into it and began exploring for himself. As we neared the island, we came across some rocks, which William really enjoyed having a clamber on, becoming king of the beach for a few moments. When we got to the island, there were also some fun clambering opportunities and some great perspectives of the beach and surrounding area. In my mind, we now had a mission though, which was to get to the lighthouse at the far tip of the island. We covered ground along a pretty sensory path with views of waves and thousands of crunchy shells to walk on. We also passed some interesting old houses, situated a long way from any modern road. And we got to the far tip of the island, where there are 2 lighthouses. We made our way to the smaller one, purely because there was a wall near to this that I thought William would enjoy walking along. He did. It was really cool to get to this point, which felt quite out to sea, and with a view looking back on the fairly distant beach, which is where Mummy was waiting for us. It was a quicker trip back after all this excitement, with William being okay to walk parts and being carried for others. Our day out had started a bit stressfully, but having an alternative adventure with opportunities for clambering and exploring thankfully worked out really well.